Hey guys, my name is Scott Bendixson, and I'm an advertising manager at My Amazon Guy. Today I'm going to do a quick walkthrough on how to set up Facebook ads for your business, whether from Facebook to your Shopify store or Facebook to your Amazon store. You can do either one, you can do both, and this is sort of how you'll do it, and a couple things just to look out for when you're setting up ads. So on the screen here, this is the Facebook Campaign Manager. This is going to be where your campaigns are listed, your budgets, all these metrics that you can change. You can have you can track pretty much any KPI that you want in here. When you're starting out, you're going to go create. It's going to ask you your campaign objective. Um, the most usual ones are going to be traffic and conversions, depending on what your goal is. But some of these store traffic is like for brick and mortars. Catalog sales is if you have a Facebook catalog set up. Um, Messages, lead generation are if you want somebody to send a message to your business. Video views, obvious. App installs if you have a app related to your business. Engagement is good for building brand awareness, as well as visibility. So if you are prioritizing people liking or commenting on your page, engagement is the way to go. Brand awareness is sort of the same. Reach is it's sort of a sub tier of brand awareness. It's just saying show us to as many people as we can be shown to. But the money conversions here are traffic and conversion. So do traffic. This is going to ask you if you want to name it, your campaign, your ad set, your ad. I'm going to leave that blank for now and do it on the next screen. So you can see on the left here, these are tiered down. So the blue highlight is the campaign level. Next is ad set, and then ads. So name your campaign. The special categories is only if you're offering credit or like credit, employment, housing. There's a few other things. If you're doing like a political or a social issue ad, then you have to select yes. Most people aren't going to have to select yes for that. A/B testing, you can test different creative, copy, URL destinations. If you have multiple landing pages, you can do that. I like to do this manually, so I'm going to leave that off. And then campaign budget optimization is when you want to tell Facebook, if you have one campaign and several ad sets, you can tell Facebook by clicking this on, you're telling Facebook to prioritize the like the budget from the full campaign to whatever ad set is doing the best. I also like to do that manually as well, so I'm going to leave that off. So next screen, it's going to take us to the ad set level. Name this one. And then again, it's going to ask where you want to send traffic to. So do we want to send to a website? This also would apply for Shopify or for Amazon, an app, Messenger, WhatsApp, or calls. Usually calls are normally brick and mortar stores, or if you have like a service-based business. Messages, you can do that if you have sort of a flow set up for when somebody sends you a message, maybe an automated text funnel that'll send them through your sales cycle. But for regular Facebook ads, I'm just going to do website. You're going to set your budget. So for this default is 25 day. You can make it higher or lower. It's going to have your start date, your end date. End dates are good if you want to have a sale or if there's an event that you're advertising. So if I'm advertising a concert that ends or that is taking place on the 20th, my end date's obviously going to be the 20th. If I have a sale that ends in 7 days, I'm going to have this end in 7 days. The most important part and where a lot of people mess up is the audience, selecting your audience. This is where Facebook is a lot different than Amazon. Facebook, you're targeting demographics and not keywords. So you can target as specifically or as broadly as you want. You can see by default we have essentially the whole United States, and our estimated audience size is up to 227 million people, which is extremely broad. You target this down by changing the ages, locations, and then interests. So like if we were going to say I don't want to target people only in California, I can hit this, and now my ads are only going to show to people in California. So that dropped my estimated audience size down to just under 31 million. I could also change the age. Let's say we're going to do 18 to 54. You're going to see this drop again. Now it's down to 24.9 million. We could do all genders, and then you can start selecting your individual interests. So the way that you're going to do that is go to detailed targeting. You can type in anything, and Facebook doesn't have every single thing, but it has most things. Anything that has a large percentage of people, it'll have. So let's say we're doing a off-road company. So I might look up off-roading. Shows that as an interest. I'm going to select that. Now my audience size has dropped down to 6 million. And contrary to what you might think, the smaller and more niched down your audience is, the better, because we want to tell Facebook the exact people that we want to target. We don't want to target everyone. So if you remember when we started here, this was 300 million or 290 million. Now we're down to 6 million. So that's much better. Um, so you can add as many of these additional interests as you want. Maybe we'll go Jeeps, and you'll see this continue to go down further and further. Let's go desert. And you can see, so this one doesn't have a very generic just desert. So we can maybe go rock crawling, that's not in there. Let's go dirt bikes, there we go. And you can see that this actually went up slightly, so it's a little bit more people that have liked dirt bikes than the last targeting, which is fun. You can keep putting as many of these in there as you want. Maybe you know that your target audience is, let's say that you know that your target audience is married. So you can go to browse here, go to demographics, and you have all these different options. And within each of these options is multiple other subsets. But let's say that our target customer is a 35-year-old married man living in California. So we already have that age up here. Let's say that we're only going to target 30 to 35-year-old married men in California. So we would go 30, 35. We're only going to target men on this one. With these interests, you can see now our estimated audience has dropped down to 1.1 million. And then we also want to only do married. So we're going to go demographics, relationship, married. And now our audience is 1.2 million. And let's say that we want to exclude anybody who likes quads, for example. We're still at 1.2 million, but now anybody that's shown an interest in Kawasaki quad bikes, we won't target those people. So once we have our audience down, and this is where this is the bread and butter of Facebook advertising, is getting your audience really, really specific. You're going to save that audience. We can go test audience. We can use that audience again. We don't have to go through that targeting again. And one good thing that you can do too is with A/B testing, you can change slight things within this. So let's say that I have this audience now saved as test one, but I decide I want to do, I want to adjust, and I want to have some people in this audience that are in the top income level. So I'm going to go down here to browse, go demographics, financial, income, and I'm going to select only the top 5% of income individuals by zip code. And now all these people that I'm targeting, and you can update, which will save it as the original audience, the test one, or you can save it as new. So we're going to go change this to test 2, and then save as new. And now it's the same audience, except test 2 audience is with the top 5% of incomes. And that's a good way to kind of test out different niche factors that you might not think about, or if you know for sure that you have a product that appeals to high salary people or low salary people, or just any little niche info that you have about your audience, you can target. Um, Now, placements is where the ads are going to show. So, Facebook by default has automatic placements, which it says recommended, but in my experience, usually you want to do manual. Recommended just puts it everywhere. So, if you do manual, you can see everywhere that it puts it. It does all the feeds, all these subsets, stories and reels, the in-stream, reels overlay, search, messages. It actually just stopped doing messages by default. It used to do that. In article, and then apps and sites. So a lot of these are sort of more niche things. I usually do. I mean, it depends on the product, but I'll usually do the Facebook news feed, the Instagram feed, marketplace, shop. I'll do stories, reels. I don't do in-stream typically. Depends. There are products where in-stream will work. Reels overlay are kind of a newer thing, so you can leave that. Search is fine. Messages, unless you want messages, you're going to be responding to messages. So if you're able to do that, you can click those on. If not, I would leave them off. In article, depends on your demographic. That skews a little bit older, so I'd probably leave those off for this audience. And then apps and sites, I'm going to take that off here as well. Optimization and delivery. This is where you can set a cost ceiling. So if you say I don't want to spend more than $1.50 per click, you can put that in here. I usually just leave that off. So I'm going to go next. Now I'm at the ad set level, or the ad level, I mean. It's going to ask you for your Facebook page, which you'll connect through your Facebook Business Manager, as well as your Instagram page. If you don't have an Instagram page, you can just select, it'll just run it off sort of a generic Instagram off your Facebook. So you don't need an Instagram page unless your goal is to drive traffic to your Instagram page, specifically if you're trying to build brand awareness or visibility or build up likes and follows and things like that. You're gonna have a few options here for ad options. So you can do a single image or video, carousel, or a collection. A good way to test is to do a single image and then a carousel as well as a video. Video usually converts the best on Facebook. But I like to have all the options and then let the data kind of drive my actions and see what is actually getting the best response. Scroll down to add creative. You're going to select if you want an image or a video, and then it'll bring up all the images that you've uploaded, or you can upload them then. Select that. It'll show you an ad preview here. So I'm just going to do one as an example. Let's just do this one. It's going to show you the way these are going to look on different segments. As you can see, this is why I typically wouldn't do all the options, because each of these options has different sort of different requirements. So this is 9:16. You can see this looks squished. This is the original. It's 1.91 by 1. That looks fine. And then over here, 1.1. That obviously does not look good. So if this was your actual image, you would want to modify these before you start doing this. But for the example, I'm just going to leave these. You can allow enhancements. It sort of just brightens it up, makes it a little bit more bold and vibrant. That's fine. I always leave that. Hit done. It's going to show you here on the right what your ad is going to look like. And you can select these different options, and it's going to show you what your ad is going to look like on each different placement. So it's saying that this is what it's going to look like on the Facebook news feed. If you select here, that's what it'll look like on Instagram, Facebook Marketplace, Instagram Shop, Stories. Again, each of these things has its own dimension requirements. So you really want to optimize your image, your creative, before you allow Facebook to use all these, or else you're going to end up with images like this. If it's too messed up, it'll just have this little minus. It won't let you run it if it's going to look really bad. But you can see, like on this one, for example, half of our image is cut out. So we would want to adjust that before we ran that creative to that placement. So then you're going to go, let's see, you're going to do your primary text here. You have 5 options. You have 5 options with headlines, as well as 5 options with descriptions. I like to use all these options. So what it does is you'll put 5 different variations of primary text, 5 different variations of headline text as well as 5 variations of description text, and then Facebook is going to cycle through and test out each combination of those and see what's working the best. So it's a really powerful test that you're kind of using Facebook's algorithm to your advantage, and there's no reason to not do that. So I would definitely recommend doing that. This is going to be your how you're going to track. So, or this is going to be where you're sending your traffic. So we're going to do the website. Facebook event is if you want to have like pixel event. So if you have add to cart or purchase, things like that. But if we're just sending traffic to a website, so if we're doing it as an example to our Amazon product page, we're going to select website. And then here we're going to put in the website URL. So you just do your Amazon product page. Amazon has its own attribution tracking. Facebook and Amazon don't share data, but Amazon does have attribution tracking. So you'll set up your Amazon attribution tags, and that will spit out a URL destination. And that's what you're going to put here. If you're sending it to your Shopify store, then whichever page on your website you want to send the traffic to when someone clicks your ad, that's what'll go right here. We can scroll down. Tracking, this is going to be your website pixel. If you're sending it to Amazon, you don't need this because the Facebook pixel doesn't track anything on Amazon, and that's where you'll use the Amazon attribution. If you are sending traffic to your website, you'll want this pixel set up so that you can track a consumer's movement through your website and see, where people are bouncing, where they're spending their most time, what they're doing just before adding an item to their cart. Things like that. And it lets you optimize your funnel sort of in the long run. So after we do that, it's going to hit publish. It's going to publish all of our ads here. It's saying this is not published because we didn't select the page, but it's just a test, so it's fine. Once you're done with that, you can come back here. It's going to show you, you can go to your campaigns. It's going to show you up here your ad set. It's going to show you your daily budget, your bid strategy. You can also do custom columns, and you can change these. You can see any sort of information that you want. So you can do, what day of the week, what times, delivery. So if I'm looking at all the data and I see that I have 30 sales, I can break it down by all of these things. So like what platform were they using, a cell phone, desktop. If they're using a phone, was it an iPhone? Was it a Samsung? Was it something else? What region were they in? What country? What location? What age? Gender? Age? All those things. So it lets you optimize. You'd further and further optimize the longer you're going, but you can get extremely specific. So it's a really good test. That's the basics of setting up Facebook ads for Amazon. If you have any questions or if you'd like a free consultation, send us a message, myamazonguy.com. You can definitely schedule a free call with me, and I can look over your account, give you some pointers, tips. Otherwise, thank you very much.